right, let's talk about the new financial system. I'm going to speak on it from the experience that I have with extraterrestrials. For those who don't know me, I am a spiritual artist. I am an extraterrestrial experiencer. And when I say extraterrestrial, I mean of all realms. My purpose on the earth is to help people understand there are more beings than just humans out there. And that includes galactics, that includes interdimensionals, inner earth beings, what people would call extraterrestrials, Sasquatch, fairies, dragons, unicorns, mermaids, all these different beings. I do a lot of work with all the realms, helping people understand them, communicate with them, and I do spirit art where I draw the artwork of those beings so that people can see who they're connected to and teach people how to connect to them on their own so they can work with them on their own. I've been doing this for a really long time and on my own, and then for the past 2 years-ish, yeah, this is the first full year that I've done it pretty much full time. And then I think in so this is 2023, June of 2021 is when I released my spirit art readings publicly. And through doing this, I've worked with tons and tons of extraterrestrials, beings all over the place. Some of them have come through and spoken to me about these shifts and changes that we're going to experience. And I have a couple guides that I trust and connections that I've made friends with who have kind of gone into more detail with me on it over time. Now, if you go to my website, awakenwithwillow.com, you'll find a channel under the blog by a being named Earwalk, IRWOK. Earwalk is a Zeta Reticulan. Zeta Reticulan. He is a galactic extraterrestrial from Zeta Reticuli. His job, from the way I understand it, his purpose essentially is to taxi people and beings from place to place. He has a ship, and it's a smaller ship, and I jokingly, and they're popping this in my head too. They're like, remember, it's kind of like the Uber of extraterrestrials. Somebody needs a lift, give them a call, and off they go. So he, I don't remember why he was the one who spoke to me on this. It might be in the channel, and it's just the feeling I've always had is he just kind of knows about this. And a lot of them are tapped in to each other on a collective level, so it's easy for them to gain knowledge from the others that they're connected to as well, kind of like when you learn to channel and tap in, you can do as well too. So I spoke with him for a while, and I had experiences of my own where other beings were starting to explain some of my Arcturian guides. Now, the Zetas are often in popular culture, a lot of people would confuse them as grays. There are grays, these gray aliens, and they have a reputation of their own. And then there are Zetas, and Zetas are much more benevolent and in their heart space, in their authenticity, in their there's a word, peaceful. They're running the word peaceful through my head. I was like, there's a word they're trying to push through, and they're far more peaceful. And a lot of people experience them and automatically think they're the more malicious ones. They aren't. Actually, most of the experiences, if you watch my videos about experiences, I really truly feel and believe that most of the experiences that people have are just vastly misunderstood. They're not actually malevolent the way some of the storytelling goes. It's a perspective scenario and issue. So I learned about this I think Earwalk was the first being, and then Arcturians came, and Arcturians are very, I'm an Arcturian starseed. I've had lives as an Arcturian. I have friends and family who even I connect to now who are living as Arcturians, who are not incarnated here, but are Arcturians in their on their world. They are often described as very tall, blue beings, big heads, blue purple energies, and look human-ish to a degree. That is the majority of the experience that I have, although there are every world has a wide range of beings existing on that world, and Arcturians are the same way. So you'll see me post art, especially if you're not following me on Instagram, TikTok, those sorts of things, go follow me on @AwakenWithWillow, where you can see my artwork. And you'll see pictures of like Susanna and Kalamesh and trying to think of another Arcturian. Earwalk's on there. He's a Zeta. I'm trying to think of another Arcturian. Sasha's probably on there, and some of these other Arcturians that I've worked with. A lot of them have different likenesses. They have different likenesses because a lot of them actually don't look the same because there are different types of Arcturians. So I've had a variety I've worked with, and they've given me pieces of the puzzle. It's like sometimes you don't get the full piece of the puzzle because you have to learn and experience things as you go. And that's what I was doing, is I was learning on my way about how this was all going to come together, how this new state of life, this new earth, this new financial system and things were all going to come together to shift everybody and to shift us into a better space and time and reality in this. And I've thought about this for a long time just personally, because our economic systems as they are do not work. I think objectively anybody who looks at this way of life that we have on this earth, individual economic systems do not work. They are prone to greed, they are prone to abuse, they are prone to maliciousness of all kinds and all degrees. They don't work, they create division, they create all this stuff because you have, this country doing this country doing that, these people using this system, these over here using this. There's no fluidity, there's no ease of energetic exchange. Now, you have to understand a couple things here. Money is a representation of spiritual energy. That's it. There's no maliciousness to it. There's no benevolence to it. It is a representation of spiritual energy. And if you believe money is evil, then the experience you will have with it is evil. If you believe it's benevolent, you will have a benevolent experience with it. It's energetic representation and a reflection of your reality. So the more you believe in the benevolence of your energy and receiving benevolence back, the more you'll get beneficial energy back in the form, in our physical world, we call it money. Money has no worth. There is no worth to money. And it's a hard thing for some people to understand, but there is no worth. It is a representation of spiritual energy that we have agreed upon. The dollar is just a piece of paper that people say it has this value because we agree upon it. If everybody woke up tomorrow in the country and said, this no longer is worth $1, it is now worth XYZ, it would be worth that because the entire collective says it's worth that, because that's just the nature of it. Now, you could get into the economics and say, well, there's the economics of, the stock market and this and that and all this other stuff. All that aside, money is a reflection of how society views it. It is a perception of society, the spiritual energy of that society, and how that society values its spiritual energy. That's it. We take that spiritual energy and we have to create a physical representation. We put that into circulation, and then that gets exchanged for energy. But it also gets exchanged in a way that people realize they can abuse it, they can keep people in poverty, and do all this kind of stuff. So something needs to change economically. Economically, the way to change it is to understand that, especially nowadays, we're not on a gold standard, we have systems that are valueless essentially because everything is ones and zeros. Literally, your entire financial system is ones and zeros in a bank somewhere. That's it. There's nothing there. There's no physical representation. And if everybody, this is a fact of the economy, if everybody, at least in the country, in the US, went to the bank at the same time to pull out their money, there isn't enough money to actually pull out because there's not enough of a representation in the physical world to express that energy. Like it's just not there. It's all ones and zeros now. So if it's all ones and zeros, that means it can be changed in an instant. That means you can go into a computer, type into a computer, and just go change, 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 change. So it brings an awareness of, if you can just do that and change it, then as a collective, we can sit down and say, we're no longer going to accept these piecemeal systems, these things that create division. One is making people super rich, one is making them super poor, one is making, in between, or all this other stuff where you have nothing that is actually playing nice together, and you have people abusing all of them. There's not one financial system I know of that is not abused. And then you have people buying into systems that they don't understand. Cryptocurrency is important. Cryptocurrency is not currency. It is not a currency. It is a label to confuse people about what it actually is. It is technology that they tried and still try to. I don't know that I haven't read about it in probably a year, but it is a technology that they have tried to create currency out of, but it is not currency. I'm not going to get into the specifics here because it's just not for a video like this, but if you are buying into something, understand what you're buying into, understand what is actual currency, what is not. Are you buying it's the easiest way to explain it is like cryptocurrency is like buying a house. It's an asset. When you buy it, it's not cash, it's not money, it's an asset, and you have to have somebody to buy it back when you get it. It's an important thing to understand with those types of things, that these systems we have in place are not truly understood by the entire public, and a lot of people want to go around saying cryptocurrency is money when that's actually not the case. It's like the stock market is an asset. You can have a stock and you can have the ability to never be able to sell that stock if nobody wants to buy it. Same with crypto. Same with other things. And cryptocurrency is actually built on a technology that is extremely beneficial to our society. It's just not tweaked enough, perfected enough, and implemented fully on a wide scale level that it is seen as a way to shift our society. That all aside, financial systems are on that, and you have hundreds, if not thousands now, of these cryptocurrencies, these things claiming to be currencies when they are not currencies. They are far from it. They are misleading labels that people do not always understand what they're buying into. So there's a lot going on in the finance and economies of the world that are creating shifts, creating new technologies, but also creating more division, more choices, more things, more inequality, all this stuff. It all has to change. Everything has to change. How does it change? First of all, everybody in the world is supposed to be in their purpose and authenticity. Now, that is a much larger question to get into for each specific person. Not everybody has a purpose in the sense of a job to do. That's a confusion of the idea of what is my purpose. What is my purpose is about this one idea. Your purpose is to be authentic. Whatever your authentic expression is, that is your purpose, nothing else. When you are in your authentic expression, you use your authentic expression to support the collective and society. So if your authentic expression is to clean, some people really love to clean, then being a janitor or a maid or some concept of cleaning will be your authentic expression. If your authentic expression is to be in construction, then that is where you're supposed to help society. If your authentic expression is to serve people, helping them, it might be something like being a waiter or a waitress at a restaurant. If your authentic expression is to create, you'll be an artist, you'll be a musician, you'll be a sculptor, you'll be some sort of creator. If your authentic expression is to lead, you will lead people, you will manage them, you will do those types of things. Your authentic expression is not this idea of, well, I have to be famous, or I have to be rich, or I have to be this or that. We need to get rid of that concept. And this is part of the financial, this is all ties into it. We have to get rid of this concept of, in order to be happy and make money, you have to be the boss, an actor, a politician, etc., a doctor, whatever it is. Those are not people in their authentic expression. You know, how many people do you know who are working in the 3D world, in a world where they have gone and done, and I've had tons of clients come to me, lawyers, doctors, etc., who are pulling back from the industries because it's not their authentic expression. Their authentic expression might be to heal, but not in that way, or might be to do other things like service, help people in the service industry, or all this other stuff. Your authentic expression is how you collect energy, because when you are authentic, you are magnetic, you are in a love frequency, you bring yourself into a healed space. You are able to heal yourself, you are able to become your fullest version of self. And when you do that, you provide for the collective using what your authentic expression leads you into. Like I said, that could be anything. For me, that's my connection to all these realms, that's my spiritual awareness, that's my experience, my artwork, all this. So for me, my service to humanity, my service work as I call it, is to do these YouTube videos, work on social media, answer questions for people, and I don't charge them when they ask me questions. I had a person yesterday, like, I feel bad for asking you so many questions because I haven't purchased a reading. And I'm like, you can ask questions. There's a certain point at which I might say you have to support me in some way, but I'm here to help as much as I can, and the other stuff will come, because we're meant to be at purpose. Money, finance is a human creation of control. It is a way of controlling a population and creating division, of creating inequality. When you operate a society based on the spiritual purpose and authentic expression of each individual, the society runs beautifully. I've seen societies run like this, and it's like they're far better off than we are. And what it is that everybody has a purpose. Sometimes that purpose is just to exist. And I want to remind everybody of that it's not necessarily a purpose in the sense of an occupation or something to do. Sometimes it's just to live life and exist. But it's always, the answer is always to be authentic to you. And when you're authentic to you, you're authentic because you have healed yourself. You have cleared karma. You have done all this stuff, which makes you magnetic. And then when you embrace that purpose, whether it's to exist and just do whatever you want to, or whether it's to do like my purpose here is to teach, to be a leader, to teach, to help people, to bring down galactic knowledge and give people visuals to reduce fear. When I embrace that, I am building a quantum bank, so to speak, because I am giving away my spiritual energy with no expectation of return, with no expectation of, if I do this, I'm going to get XYZ, which is what we do in society with a financial system. We go, like I have a book here. We go, here's a book. I want that book. Okay, well, you can't have this book. Well, why not? Because you've got to give me, it's a hardcover, so what are they normally? Like 25, 30 bucks normally. You got to give me $30. Well, I don't want to give you what if you don't have $30 to give and you just want to read the book? The idea is that in the future, as a writer, I'm a writer. I have my spiritual books. I have my fantasy series too that I want to finish out over time. And in the future, the goal is, if you want the book, you can just have the book, because you are doing what is authentic to you, which is writing, and you are giving that out. But right now we have this expectation that if you want to read the book, you have to give me something first before I give you the book. Now, granted, as I talk about this, and most of you are aware of this, there is this caveat that we have where we're straddling two worlds right now. So as much as, for example, with myself, I give away as much information as I can, YouTube, social media, all that, I still charge for my readings, because without charging for my readings, that's my spiritual return route for energy to return to me. Without that, the free stuff, service work I do fizzles and goes away. And that's why I always ask for that in return for people who are getting value from these. And this is one of those things that with you, if you're watching this, this is how you build your spiritual bank. Now, we have to stop thinking like a traditional financial system. A spiritual bank is within you. It lies within your energy. The more you give away that is part of your authentic expression, the more energy you will accrue in your spiritual bank. Now, when I've seen this, I've seen actual tubes, I guess you'd call them, in my mind's eye above me. And they started out, and it was like I was giving stuff away, and they would show me coins dropping into these tubes, these containers that you create to hold energy, to hold this value. And as you fill these tubes and you give energy away, think of them like little kids' piggy banks. If you want, you put a coin in every time the kid does something good. Well, it's kind of like that. Every time something good happens, you put these, you get this energy that comes to you, that accrues within you. You're giving away your time, your energy, your value, and your authentic expression without expectation of physical financial return. But it's accruing. It's service work. It's service to humanity. So you know at some point you'll always be provided for, because spiritually that magnetizes. That magnetizes to you. It magnetizes back to you. And what happens is when you need the money, that energy gets exchanged somehow. You might get a tip, a donation, you might get a purchase, you might get a check you've been waiting on, you might win something randomly. Something will happen within your reality to bring you the energy that is collected in a way that is physically representative of that energy, so you can use it to get what you need. And this is kind of a trick of abundance too. Now, Bashar is the one that said this, which helped me a lot when I was working on abundance and understanding it, is that abundance is not being abundant now or being overabundant. It is having what you need in the moment you need it. When you understand that, most of the worry and anxiety around abundance leaves, because if you are somebody who understands this spiritual bank, this spiritual financial system of accruing energy and then getting the energy when you need it, you'll realize that if you're worried about the rent due on the 30th and it's the 10th of the month, it's not the 30th. Spirit knows in that moment on the 10th, you don't need that money yet because you got 20 days left. You might worry and have anxiety around it, but as long as you're doing what is in your authenticity and that you will be provided for, that money will appear, it will show up, and that sort of thing. Now, we're not supposed to have that dynamic. We're supposed to have such an abundance, we just don't have to worry about it. But this is kind of one of the stages of shifting, is understanding that you're putting energy out to bring energy back in, and you're doing it in your authenticity, which is building your spiritual bank. And like this YouTube video that you're watching, the more people watch this YouTube video, the more my spiritual bank will fill, because the more people I am helping. So in that case where your energy is being repeatedly utilized, you are able to collect more spiritual quantum energy, because people are showing you what? Gratitude. If you are doing things without expectation from your authenticity, you find, and you always will find, an audience who is grateful for you. Gratitude is the energy that fills the spiritual bank. It's not the video. It's not the action of me doing the video. It's not the action of me speaking these words. It's the people watching who have gratitude for me speaking on the topic. That love, that gratitude comes back to me, and it fills my spiritual piggy bank, so to speak. So as we wake and we heal ourselves, we gain this ability as we heal to be more positive, to be more grateful, to be more aware, to be more healed, and to be more authentic. And the more authentic we are, the bigger the capacity of our spiritual energy and our spiritual piggy bank, which means it is almost a requirement. And I would say almost because I don't like to say things are a requirement, but it is kind of a requirement that people embrace their authenticity and give back to society in whatever way they're meant to. That could be a multitude of things. I knew somebody who was at home. She had a job, but she was a good cook, and she was authentic in her cooking. So she would cook and give meals away. It doesn't have to be a job. It doesn't have to be an occupation. It doesn't have to be something creative or on the internet. It could be simply something where you're doing something to help your local community because you love cooking so much that you're going to cook and give that away, or you love knitting so much that you're going to knit gloves, or that you're going to make coats and blankets, and then you're just going to go and give them to people in need because your expression is in that moment. And then you're giving it to people who are going to be grateful for you. And because you're being grateful, they're grateful to you and loving of that, that comes back to you, and that is your service work. That is how service work interacts. It is you in that space of authenticity, and the more you do it, the more that energy builds, and you're always provided for. Always provided for to where you don't have to worry about it, because abundance doesn't mean overabundance. Abundance means having what you need in the moment. And so when you do that, and then you decide, oh, I'm going to go pay the rent, boom, whatever you need comes. It's either sitting in your bank account already, or it comes through another means in the moment that you need it. So let's take this further. How does this actually apply to a financial system? Because a financial system is more physical to our world. Your energy field has your spiritual piggy bank in it. And it's not, again, it's not a literal piggy bank or thing. It's just the way I'm explaining it is a visual representation of energy. It's all energy that's around you. When the true quantum financial system turns on, it will run beside all of our physical systems, and it will be something you can opt into. But how is it going to actually work? The way I've been told is that it's already here. The technology already exists, is what they told me 2 years ago, probably. And it's now probably more like a year ago, depending on when that channel was. The technology already exists. It's here. I personally feel like cryptocurrency technology is a big part of this, decentralization, all that. It has to do with your quantum field, your energy. This is why it's so important for people to heal and be authentic if you want to experience the ease of this new system. You have to be in your authenticity. You need to do the healing work and grow, and all that stuff that comes with raising your vibration is going to make it far easier, because when you express yourself authentically and build that energy back, so the people that love you, that energy, you're giving stuff away, and they come back and they're like, I'm grateful for you, I love you, you're awesome. That's awesome. That's energy coming back to you. The quantum system, now at a base level, I don't know if this is entirely the truth of it on this physical world, but this is what I've been told. At a base level, it will provide everyone with their basic needs. Food, shelter, that. I asked them, how does that even work? Like, my rent is far different than the rent of somebody in New York. It's far different than the rent of somebody in LA. It's far different than the rent in somebody in Claysburg, Pennsylvania, which is a very, very small town, country town that I lived in at one time. Is different from Florida, South America. Like, it's different all over the place. And it can be from, I've paid rent before that was $500. I've paid rent before that was $800. We had an apartment that was $1,300, I think. And I know people that have paid $2,000 up for city rent. I've even seen places for $3,000 up. Like, it's just vastly insane how wide the spectrum is and how big of a difference the space is that you get for that amount, which anybody who has experience in both city and country understands greatly. So it's like, okay, how does a system like this apply when you can't just say, well, here's this idea of like, okay, so UBI, universal basic income, this idea of universal basic income doesn't work unless it's a large number, a very large number. But if it's a very large number, you're still going to have economic inequality, because you're going to have some people that are living in the country who are now, taking, say their expenses total in the country. Like, you can live in the country easily for less than $1,000 a month, for probably $600 a month, depending on where you're at in the country renting an apartment. You can get apartments for less than $600 a month. So say $600 to $1,000 a month in the country, and then you have somebody in New York who's paying $3,000 for an apartment plus all the expenses on top of that. Like, there's still inequality in a fixed universal basic income scenario. If you just say everybody gets $10,000, still creates inequality. how does this work? The way they explained it is everybody's basic needs are covered. This means if you want internet, it's paid. If you have rent, it's paid. If you have food needs, it's paid. If you have whatever becomes a human, basically like a human right type thing, a human need, like water, gas, electric, it's paid. And then I asked them, I go, how does this happen? And it was funny in the thinking back on how they were answering it, because they were kind of like being sarcastic and obvious at the same time that I already knew. We have bank accounts. Our bank account is tied to our water bill. People are on auto pay now. Most people do auto pay type scenarios, which means they tie their bank account to these different services. So whether you have a cell phone, internet, gas, electric, rent, most people have those scenarios where it's tied to that bank account. What they don't realize is when you tie anything to your bank account and give that number, it can do a whole lot more than just deposit or withdraw money. They can often see balances, histories, and all this other stuff. That bank account is tied to a social security number, at least in the US. I don't know how it works in other countries, but it's tied to an identifier, an identification number. So through that single number, any computer system can take that number, get to your bank account, because it knows based on the banking systems which bank accounts are yours, and look at those bank accounts and go, this is a cell phone bill, this is a water bill, this is a rent bill, etc., etc. And there are going to be some kinks, because like I live in a place where the landlord doesn't take anything but cash, and you have to go to his bank to deposit it. He doesn't take it. You have to drive to his bank to deposit cash. So there are going to be some things like that where there'll be intermediaries while the systems merge and are accepted, where you can go and be like, okay, my rent is XYZ, and you'll be able to transfer it to wherever it needs to go. But the computers will go, here's the bank, cell phone, blah, 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 blah. Here's your UBI. And it's not even about like, here's your universal basic income. It's the way the galactics explained it, that at least it works in other places, is it's just spiritual energy is the way they see it. And whatever it is, the computer goes, okay, paid, 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 paid. And then whatever is consider it like a basic level of income extra, you get that. So like as I'm talking and I'm because I'm half channeling at the same time, one of the things they're showing me is my expenses are far less than somebody in New York, but all of our basic expenses would be covered: rent, utilities, internet, all that stuff paid. Okay, once that's paid, we're at an equal level. We're equal at that point. Then you can tack on like a universal basic income of whatever it is, $50, $100, I don't know, whatever the exchange ends up being that we agree with. And then if it goes that way, it might just be expenses paid. I don't know. Because if you pay somebody, and this is one of the things they were telling me the other day, they were like, with this system, everybody's basic needs are covered. Food, all of that gets paid automatically when you hook in. Your debt's wiped clean, because debt isn't real. It's just numbers in a computer now. So your debt would get wiped clean. You'd start over. You'd be in the system. All your basic income's covered, and you start accruing whatever the extra part is that we decide as a society. If somebody wants to live in their house, play video games all day long, and do nothing, they will be allowed to do that, because they still have a right to having their basic needs covered whatever we decide is a basic need. At this point, internet is a basic need. Cell phone, telecommunications, all of that have become so ingrained in society that they're all pretty much basic needs to interact and be a part of society. But if they wanted that, they could sit in their room, they could do that, they would be covered. They aren't going to get more because it's all about your quantum field. A person who decides to do that and does not decide to heal, does not decide to embrace their authenticity and those sorts of things, is not going to build that spiritual piggy bank. Which means when this system turns on and provides for everybody's needs, again, some people might be like, where does the money come from? It doesn't exist. It's never going to exist. And it hasn't existed in a long time. It's ones and zeros. So they can go in and just go paid, transfer a fake number over, like, hey, that's $500. Ones and zeros to 500, transferred, type of thing. Do that type of stuff to pay this out of what you might call like a unified quantum bank or something, I guess. Those are the words popping in my mind. So if you wanted to sit and do nothing, you could sit and do nothing and still be provided for, because that is a human right. It is your choice to be authentic or not authentic. If you are authentic, you are going to start collecting the quantum piggy bank stuff. You're going to start collecting that, and you are going to start being able to have your field read, essentially. And I may have to cut this into two parts. I'm videotaping on my phone. Sometimes I get texts. I see somebody needs to call, and if they call, it will shut off the video, and I'll have to restart. So if this breaks off, it'll be two parts. But your quantum field can be read energetically, just like a channel can read. I can look at a name on a screen, and I can be in a different country and pick up on somebody's energy because it's all quantum entangled. A advanced computer system that they're putting in place, I don't even know if you want to call it a computer system, or you might call it a quantum computer, I guess. These advanced systems they're putting in place will be able to read the quantum fields of individuals, which means that it will be able to distribute more abundance based on the quantum field of the individual. So your spiritual piggy bank, all that giving that you've been doing starts to become very valuable, because it starts to go, your bills are paid. Oh, wow, you've been doing a lot of giving lately. You've been in your authenticity. You're loved. Like, look at all this, because everything's tied in quantumly through energy. Look at how much the collective loves you. I'm not talking about social media likes and comments, YouTube likes and comments. I'm not talking about any of that. It's collective. Your energy, how much the energy of the universe in this community that is part of this program likes you and loves you. The more that happens, the more the quantum system is going to be like, give them more. Give them more back in abundance because of all the work and effort they're giving. It's the universe's way of bringing things back into alignment, for people who are giving away their authenticity and starting to magnetize it. Now, what that might mean is that it's not necessarily the system giving you $5,000. It might mean that somebody else needs, say a spirit art. Let's take my spirit art readings, for example. I'm doing this work, and my spirit art readings are to a point that they're providing for me. And as they're providing for me, and I'm doing more work, other people want to access those, but they're in a space where they can't right now. And then the quantum system says, oh, wait, here's the money, give them a reading. And whether it gives them the money to buy the reading and just says, like, if you buy this reading, it'll be provided by whatever banking system is set up, or somehow comes to them or me in another way, there are going to be ways this energy works quantumly that it comes back to you. I don't understand the ins and outs because I haven't seen the technology. There are a variety of different ways it can work. But what they've said is basically like the more energy you put out in your authenticity, the more the system gives back to you. The system could be a computer just saying like, oh, you're doing a ton of work, let's give you $1 million, provided you continue doing that work. Now, here's the key. If you stop being authentic and people stop liking you and having gratitude for you because you're starting to become a drain on society, essentially, you're not going to get as much. Your basic needs will be covered, but you're going to stop getting energy back because you have to go through the healing and be authentic and give away your authenticity to people. That's the whole thing of the universe. Your authentic purpose is to provide that for people. Now, if you're here to experience, if you're just here to live life, your authentic means of giving to people is whatever you choose. There are people here who are just meant to experience life, and they can choose to be a cook, they can choose to be XYZ, all that. I didn't have a choice to do this work. In the end, it's like I could have chosen, but if I chosen, I know I've seen the timelines through time travel, it would not have been good. Just put it that way. My choice, my authenticity was I signed up to come here to teach people this information and about galactics and draw them and help people come together. If I did not choose to do that, it creates this magnetism of energy that is the opposite of a good experience, I guess, into ease. So when it comes to this quantum computing, they have all of your information already. If you have a bank account, they have all your information. They can read it all, and they can start to tell, and it's already categorized even now. If you look at your bank or credit card statements, it'll say telecommunications, utilities, all this. They can tell what it all is. They can read it, and the system can say, just pay it all. Just create ones and zeros, give the providers the money for their service that they're charging, and then be done with it. Now, some of the other things that are going to come up are there going to be things like caps. Like, because this is happening, you might think, well, why wouldn't somebody just go, well, now my service is $1 million? If it's just going to go, send them $1 million. That's not going to happen. There are going to be caps. There's not going to be inflation, because the system is going to say, if you have a jar of peanut butter, you can only sell that jar of peanut butter for $3. You can't sell it for $6. It is a jar of peanut butter. It is no different than any other jar of peanut butter. It is $3. You can sell it for less if you want, but the most you can sell it for is this amount. It's going to be a system like that where products and services are going to have these caps because of, and I should say, not necessarily services. When I say services, I mean things like telecommunications, like your cell phone bill type of thing, usage. Because you can't, I know when I say that, I can feel in the collective, like quantumly through time travel, some people being like, oh no, when it comes to creative services. That's not the case. Those types of things you'll be able to charge whatever you want for, because it is a energetic, unique thing. I'm talking about like physical things will have caps on them. So companies won't be able to say, your cell phone bill is now $1 million. This jar of peanut butter is now 10,000. They won't be able to do that. There'll be caps on those things that have measurements to them and specifications to them. Things that are unique of an individual's unique energy signature and unique value are not going to have those types of things. So you'll be able to create and charge things, but they're probably also they're telling me in my head, unless you get out, like there will be things that the system will be able to tell if you're getting out of control with your valuing because of quantum energy. It'll be able to feel if your quantum value is actually equating or not equating, depending on the energy of it in the value of the individuals who are receiving it. So a lot of this works off gratitude. A lot of this works off of authenticity of self and understanding that things are ones and zeros. And also that when it turns on, it's going to run beside everything for quite a while. The old systems aren't going away yet. It's going to turn on and it's going to run beside everything. And it's going to run beside everything because people are going to need time to accept it and to integrate with it. And they're not going to trust it. And they're especially not going to trust it when it comes out and it's like, hey, sign up and we wipe your debt free. It's going to be instant, like, mistrust in the unawake collective. That being said, I don't foresee this happening, but I always say this as a warning, is to remember before you sign up for anything, read the terms, read the conditions. I haven't seen the technology myself yet, but I've also been told in different ways that some of us won't even know it turned on. It'll just turn on. It'll turn on. It's not like they're like, it's not like turning it on and like checking a box. For some people, it's just the quantum acceptance of their authenticity drops them into this quantum thing, machine technology, whatever it is, drops them into this space. And when I asked them, because they were telling me this, I was like, well, how does that work? And they go, everybody has your bank account. You can get your social security number, your bank account, all your financial records. As long as they tie it into that, it does not matter if you sign up, because they can put you into it and just have it start working and have you see that it's working if you are somebody within their authenticity. I don't know how entirely accurate that is, if I interpreted it correctly. But every time I feel like, do we have to sign paperwork or check? It's like, no, you just kind of get poof. You wake up one day and poof, your financial capacities have changed because you're in that system. And you just wake up going, wait, what's going on? Type of thing. If you had debt, you're like, debt free? Is that the case? Those types of things. So those types of things may happen depending on how this integration goes. But everything is off your quantum field, your quantum entangled field. They can read that just like a channel can read it, and they can read what you are doing. Are you in a loving heart space? Are you being malicious to people? Are you spitting hate and greed and jealousy and all this other stuff? That affects your quantum field. The more of a light you are, the more energy you're going to have the universe giving back to you, because you're being authentic and healing and going on your journey. The more you choose to sit in lower vibrational spaces, the more you're going to sit in a lower vibrational space, because the system is going to be based on the universe, universal laws, quantum mechanics, all this stuff. The law of one. You attract your value. You attract your value, and especially through the gratitude and love of others. And it is just a technology because we have a society and a technological physical society, it is just a technology to take over the universal laws part that are not respected now in the financial system. The financial system does not respect universal law at all. It just is greed and corruption and all this other stuff. This is going to take that over and be like, no, there is now universal basic equality for all human needs. There is now, whatever you're looking for and trying to attract, if you're in your authenticity, you can attract it without hurdles and stumbling blocks to your finances. Those types of things are going to be put in place, because one system is going to start saying, hey, humans, you cannot do this division stuff anymore. You cannot do this stuff that goes against the laws of karma. You cannot bail out banks and not bail out the individuals. That's the whole debt thing too. For people who are curious, one of the things I heard is that the debt wipe is because of how much the corporations and banks have been saved throughout the years, but they don't give the people that money. It's like, why are you saving them when it's actually the people who need the help? This is going to put the power back into the people. And it doesn't give the power to the people. It gives the people the choice to create their own power. And that's how it gives back. You have the choice to be your power, to be your bank, to be your authentic self. That is how you will get your value back. That is a lot of what the ETs have shown and told me. Hopefully that all makes sense. We're at almost an hour now. Let me know if you have any questions. I kind of was half channeling and telling my story too, so there's nothing else coming up. I don't feel, let's see. Stay positive. Do not fear change. And understand that money is not real. It is just a spiritual representation of energetic value. In that your quantum ascension leads to your financial abundance. That is what they're saying right now. But to have no fear of change with finances, because the fear of change is actually going to keep you in lack if you fear change. Thank you everybody for watching. If you found this valuable, please visit awakenwithwillow.com. I have resources on there for free, books, spirit art readings, divine council transmissions, other types of things that you can participate in. Don't forget to follow and like, and I love you all.